Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is time to get into the third game of the night after Order's victory in the previous match. And of course, coming up, it is going to be Chiefs taking on Peace. And a lot of people have said this is going to be one to remember tonight. Maybe not the pick of the bunch, but I guess we'll see, because we, of course, got an upset earlier on in the night. But before we get too close to the matchup, we are going to bring up from the fans yet again, because apparently you guys at home are tweeting like it's going out of fashion. Look at this. Flora, she's watching this with a glass of, looks like rosé in hand. Great choice there. And looks like she's loving herself.
Thank you, Ben, for the inspiration as well as the quote for that one. So I think he may have started a trend, for better or worse.
For better or worse. Now we do have another one to have a quick look at as well. What do we got here? We have Simon Pavone, and he's got the whole setup. Man, he's playing keyboard on the side. What's going on here?
You know, have you guys ever seen Skrillex's setup? That's what this reminds me of. He's literally going hard.
Stab in the dark here as well. Pabu's dad. Pabu is Jackson Pavone. So we just have to imagine. Throwing that one out there. Whole family's in on Twitter.
I don't know, is that him in the display picture, or is it just like some dude with the whole dark sunnies?
Yeah, that was someone from the Matrix.
Nah, no. I'm going to go check this. And I'll check it when it's appropriate. But for now, we have to get into the game, and we are going to have a quick look at the Chiefs lineup before we do so. So let's bring that one up. And Elf Boy, take us through it.
Yes, mate. Well, I love the look of this Chiefs lineup. Looking very fresh in the new jerseys that they've been cooking up in the lab as well. I thought they did a really good job yesterday. You know, they got a nice draft. I mean, they managed somehow to get Udia through. I'm not sure Suede is going to be given that luxury today. But I thought for me, where the real issues for Legacy came from was from Kissy in mid on the Zoe, who looked really, really deadly in the mid and late game, and Boma on the Ezreal. You know, once you put those two together, as Juve said yesterday, it can sometimes be a crime just doing things that you naturally would when playing League of Legends, like trying to take a Baron, trying to take a Dragon. It makes it so scary to even go near any neutral objectives, and you can see exactly why in the replay package here. Zoe just blowing everyone up, and if he doesn't, Mboma will on the Ezreal. So very, very nice draft, I thought, from Chiefs yesterday, and they played it to perfection.
Yeah.
Yes, they certainly did. Thank you for that, Elf Boy. Rusty, what are your thoughts on the Chiefs?
I mean, the one thing that I was going to say on the Chiefs was that their resilience yesterday was impressive. I remember that Kisei is a 17-year-old. I believe he's turning 18 this year, so a very young player debuting in a professional format, and got solo killed very early into his laning phase, and it didn't affect him at all. Still came up with a CS advantage, so credit to their resilience.
There you go. So very solid mental being displayed by the Chiefs there to get back into the game after a bit of an upset, a bit of a trip, a bit of a stumble earlier on. Now we do have to have a look at Peace as well, who definitely impressed us yesterday with their debut performance. Now, Rusty, you want to take us through this lineup here as well?
Yeah, certainly. Of course, you got Uppy in the top lane, a role swap from support, who swapped from top to support, so it's nice to see him back. Lisa is your jungler. Halo in mid lane, of course, the sub for Legacy last year, is now making his proper debut on stage. Violet, your AD carry. Ultraviolet when he pops off, just so you all know. And Alidoric down there in the bottom lane, coming back after a year off from playing League of Legends competitively. And this is a team that I'm very excited for a lot of reasons, but one of the bigger ones is I expect them to start the season strong. I don't know if there are many other teams that you look at in the league and say they just will be good besides Pentanet.gg, because of the amount of players that played together last year, right? You've got Uppy, Lisa, and the name is completely lost to me right now, Violet, that played together last year on the same team. So a lot of cohesion expected to be seen there. And you can tell, because yesterday they played against Direwolves, a team that is expected to be one of the hot favorites of the league, and they tore them apart.
Well, there you have it.
It was.
You go, Jordan. You know, tell us what you thought about Peace.
I just thought it was a rough game for Direwolves. You know, they got to a point where their team composition didn't really have any engage tools, and when they did try to engage. There's just so much counter-engage on the side with Aladoric, with Halo, you know, playing the Syndra and the Rakan, or the Rakan and the Syndra, I suppose, respectively. Just made it quite difficult for Direwolves to get anything done. I mean, I was most impressed by Halo. I think it's pretty easy to say that. You just look at the scoreboard. He was something like 7-0-3, even despite being sort of even or maybe even a little bit behind early game. Just really started to get it going in the mid game, and well, I guess it's props to you, Rusty, because we did get to see the Syndra. Don't know if an Ari would have been able to do that.
Yeah, thank God we didn't play the Ari.
Well, you know, we could check in. We got Nat T down on the sidelines about to have a chat with the players, and maybe they can give us an insight on if they want to play Ari or not.
I mean, I can definitely ask that question for you guys if you like. I do have Uppy and Draku with me. I'm sorry if I mispronounced any of your names, but Uppy, how is the mood in the gaming house down there over at Peace?
So I think it's pretty good. Like, I just first swapped from support to top again, to like real swap again, and in Peace, like everyone's try harding, and I like myself try hard to play top as well. So it's like nothing too special. It's just pretty simple.
That's great to hear. While you're talking about that, can you tell us a little bit more about how the transition from support to top's going?
Oh, I actually had some like top lane experience before. I was back to China like 2019. I played LDL, and I actually play some games at top, so it's not hard. And the champion in this meta is like tanks and some carry champion I also play, so it's not hard to just play top. It's for me.
Are they more comfort picks for you, or what sort of like what drives you to top?
What drives me to top? Yeah, well, like I personally think I can just play support and top, like these two row in like challenger level or like pro level. So if the teams need me play top, I'm fine to play top because there's not much like very good players left in Earth, in my opinion. So I was just shooting the team, I guess.
Great. You know, it's awesome to hear that you have such versatility. Now, Dragu, you're coming up against some of your old teammates. How is that factored into your prep for this game?
Nothing special to us. I really respect my old teammates, especially Violet, and well, Aladoric is one of my closest friends, and I think it's going to be really fun to verse him. I really want to have a good game against these guys because their management are really cool people. Their coach, Daniel, is really amazing as a person, and Edward is what I see as a close friend as well. He's actually a really good owner, so.
Oh, I mean, that's so sweet to hear. You did mention Aladoric, and I saw his tweet at you talking about how much you could bench. I have to ask, everyone is so curious, how much can you actually bench?
Well, when I was 17, I was like a semi powerlifter, like kind of, and my max rep was 135. But right now I can only do about 115 to 120.
Do you think it's enough that if you were to ever play carry, you could carry your 4 other teammates?
Well, I think my team this year, they're pretty small. So altogether, they'll probably be around 120 kilos. So yeah, probably.
Well, look, even if you can't carry them in the game, it is nice to know you could bench them IRL. But thank you both so much for answering our questions. We're going to head on back over to Mac for now and hear any more thoughts before the game starts. Good luck.
That was absolutely beautiful. I loved he was sitting there doing the Terry Crews, just, you know, popping
like,
his
these
pecs.
ones.
It was so great to watch, you know, on your drag crew. Keep it up. Thank you very much for that, Nat. That was beautifully done, and I'm glad we got that solid content. Now, moving forward, what do we got? Where are we heading with this one? We got Jordan giving us a surprise performance. Are you gonna dance for us?
Wow.
Don't remember seeing that in the runner show, Mac. You might have come up with that one yourself. Did you not read? You must have read the bit where it said Geordie and thought it was me, but actually it was talking about you.
The halftime show. No, I wasn't organised. They're not paying me extra for that. Aren't you asking for extra because you're doing the dance right now?
No.
You're not doing that.
No.
Ah, it's so disappointing. Anyway,
it was a good try though.
Well,
Mac.
it's time for some predictions, and I predict that Jordan has lost everyone's honour, everyone's pride, and no one likes him anymore. So that's unfortunate. But look, in terms of the game, looks like Rusty and I are on the same page going for Chiefs here, and Elfish Guy has chosen Peace. So let's talk through this one. Jordan, you first.
Yeah, look, I just wanted to be a point of difference. You know, we've been going for the same predictions all day long. I thought we might need some entertainment, a bit of rivalry maybe when it comes to the cast. Actually, I was quite impressed by what I saw yesterday from Peace. I thought they had a difficult opponent in Direwolves. I thought they played around the composition that they built very, very nicely. And to be honest, I would have to say the same thing about the Chiefs as well. So for me, this was a really tough prediction. I've gone with Peace just because I sort of give them a little bit of an edge here. But realistically, for me, this was about as close as a 50-50 could get.
I mean, I honestly thought I was going to be a point of difference when I went for the Chiefs. I genuinely thought that I'd be the only one that went for the Chiefs. I thought Peace might be considered favourites coming into this one. But here we are. Mac has joined me on the bandwagon. So now we're the masses. And to be honest, I do think that Draku does have the capabilities to bench his team across the line against a team like Peace. And one of the big things for me was actually what he mentioned in his interview was the motivation. He knows everyone on that org, so he's got fire.
I thought you were going to say I could also bench his team if they only weigh 120 kilos,
Probably
which I
could.
also found as another weird fact. You know, what's that, 120 divided by 4? That's like, well, you got 30 kilos on every one of those players.
Nothing.
They must be just skin and bone. Can we get a nutritionist over into the Chiefs camp, please? I think it's necessary. Anyway, get some meat on those bones, hopefully, down the track. But look, going towards the champ select now, do you think we're going to see any crazy picks in this matchup, or it's just going to be stock standard yet again?
I reckon Chiefs will be the ones, if anyone, that'll do something different. Again, we haven't seen a lot from all of the teams in the league. Naturally, they've only played one game each, but I do think the Chiefs have more in the tank when it comes to having those abstract picks. We already saw a Soraka from Drag, you know, which isn't the conventional support that everyone's playing at the moment. And I think Swaith is someone who you keep your eyes on as well.
But what about you, Jordan? Any players to watch in particular, you think?
I mean, like I said, I thought the Chiefs with Kisei and Bomba would lean towards that kind of poke gameplay style that they had in the last game. I thought that was quite effective for them. So look, if there's a couple to watch, those are mine. Maybe Halo and Lisa on the other side of things for Peace. I'm interested to see what Appy can do as well. Jumping around roles is always a difficult prospect, but seems to have taken to all these role swaps like a duck to water, which is certainly not something that I can say for myself. But look, I'm not in the LCO for a reason, so there you go.
Well, hopefully you can, apply and maybe play for a team next season. But I guess we'll get you. We'll talk about that. Look, I can be your manager. I'll take a little fee, 5%, 10%, maybe 20, if you're feeling generous. But anyway, that's besides the point. It's time to get in the champ select. It's time to get into the game. It is going to be Chiefs taking on Peace, boys. Take us into it.
Look, I tell you what, it's probably better for all involved if I'm not playing in the LCO. I think I'll do much better here on the broadcast alongside you, Rusty. But this one, an interesting matchup. Obviously, both teams 1-0 and a chance to be towards the top end of the standings at the end of week 1.
Yeah, and once again, to set the stakes for this, we came through today and we said the first two games will be interesting for sure, but this game and the next one, PGG vs Divals, were the ones we were definitely most excited for because we really weren't sure in terms of results and how it would go, what would happen. And so far, we go through this pick ban, we're one pick in, and already I feel happy. I'm happy with the fact that the rel priority that we spoke about last draft, it isn't a 4th pick, it's number 1.
Yeah, some big priority champions getting picked up straight away. You've got the Rel, you've got the Lilia. Obviously, important to mention again, Udyr still gone. So that 100% pick ban rate continues. No Seraphine, no Viego, Olaf, Gragas. These are all fairly common bans. The Thrush taken away from Aladoric. We don't see that every day, but still a strong pick. But I'm liking what I'm seeing already from Peace. I mean, very, very strong teamfight presence with the Gnar, with the Lilia. So it's already shaping up quite nicely.
What I would say, is Thresh is definitely an Aladoric special. He's also a Gragas support player. So it's good that they actually take that away, get the 2-for-1. One thing again, Gnar is going to be picked in blind. Gangplank, like we spoke about last draft, can be considered an easy answer to that pick. is going to be instantly locked in here by the Chiefs. There is no lane swap variability of Anar. Gangplank's just going to match it. And Chiefs so far, I'm very happy with what they've picked in their drafting. Looking towards their third pick, you could round out your bottom lane, but there's no need because the jungler has been shown. And just what I expected, to be honest with you, Swaith has always been a prolific Kayn player. And the world is his oyster already with only those 2 picks.
Kayn definitely not something we see every day, but certainly the kind of champion that can run away with the game, especially against fairly squishy jungling opponents such as Lilia. If things are going the way of Swaith, could end up being quite difficult. You've got the Yone coming through potentially for Peace here in the mid lane. Interesting to see what, perhaps they've probably matched the support here, knowing that they have already seen the support here, unless, you know, obviously we opt for an AD carry pick. What are we going to get?
I believe the Yone was locked, yeah, so we're looking towards what they'll be banning away from Chiefs. Now, what Chiefs composition has already is presumably the blue Kayn. The game kind of tells you what Kayn you'll be, not so much yourself. You've got Rel for engage, so really you don't need to pick any further hard engage type of champions. Orianna is a very good ban because that's that complementary wombo that works brilliantly. You can consider something like the Victor to go with it, but we don't know the extent of Kisei's champion pool. He may just want to go back to the Zoe, which again, I expect to be banned and will be by Peace.
It is indeed. So final ban remaining for Chiefs. Already taking the Kai'Sa off of the table, actually targeting Violet. Both the AD carries gone, so Xayah off the table as well, which leaves... I mean, yeah, there's still plenty of options available for Violet. I mean, we've just seen a Jinx picked up as well, so maybe we get to see that thrown in for Peace if they're quite comfortable. Could be a little tough against a Kayn if that Kayn starts to get strong. Aphelios, obviously an option.
Decent option, but with the Thresh missing, it's actually pretty hard to do. Looking forward to seeing what they'll be picking in that AD carry role, as it isn't going to be that this time, Elfish Guy. It is going to be the support.
Okay. Still leaves a little bit of a question mark then for the bot lane of Peace, but adding to the crowd control of that composition, starting to look very scary in that respect. The Chiefs deliberating over what their mid laner might end up being.
Needs to be
Manny.
Oh, that's bot lane. Is Senna available? No. All right, and Bomer is a Heimerdinger player.
Available.
Just throwing that one out there. And Bomer is a Heimerdinger player, so I don't think it'll be going mid. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Rel Heimerdinger bot lane. As you can see now with the Anivia being locked in as the 5th rotation here for Kisei playing in mid lane. That is one hell of a way to take a draft and run with it. Again, you've got a Rel, so ultimately your composition kind of does it, speaks for itself. Gangplank, Rel do a lot of the work. Kane's just going to do his own thing. Heimerdinger makes ganking bot lane really difficult, and Anivia makes ganking mid lane really difficult as well. So I don't know what piece they're going to pick in response. That's a weird one.
Yeah, well, they've gone for the Sivir. I didn't actually mind the Ezreal pick there either. I feel like he would have been quite difficult to deal with the composition that the Chiefs did have. But a bit of wave clear, maybe some turret slaying ability coming through from that Sivir as well. Could be quite useful down in the bot lane. Lots of teleports on both sides of the field as well. So this is going to be one for the ages. We're going to see fights all over the place. And when a fight starts, everyone's going to be there.
And I can't say this with absolute certainty, but it was very telegraphed on the Chiefs side of the coin here that they were going to go for an early rotation of the Rel with the Thresh ban, right? Thresh is one of the few champions that can handle it. One of the other options is Janna. Now, I don't know necessarily if Alidoric is a Janna player. He's opted towards a very different route with this Alistar, who I think couples well with a Lilia if you're going to be ganking bottom lane. Does a lot for the team composition in terms of providing you with actual engage as well. So I would say kind of matches the role of Dragku actually and what they're going to be providing for the team. It's just one of those situations now where the wild card and a half has been thrown in here by the Chiefs in terms of their picks. We said expect something crazy. That was a question we had, Jordan, and well, we got it.
Well, it's definitely a very different kind of a composition from Chiefs today. A big departure from what we saw them picking up yesterday. I'm very excited to see how this actually ends up panning on out. I feel like this is the kind of composition that goes either perfectly to plan and you just utterly destroy this game, or it goes horribly wrong, you know? And if it starts going horribly wrong, I'm not sure the tools are going to be there to get back into the game, but the Chiefs are very, very solid side. Can't count them out of a game like this, and you've already said that Mboma is going to be quite a pain to deal with on the Heimerdinger in the bot lane. So I'm hoping to see something pretty exciting here from Chiefs.
Yeah, and with the Sivir last pick, we have to look at what does it do? You know, like why go for the Sivir? I would say that the possibilities are there for that Duskblade lethality build that you mentioned or teased towards last game, so that is a possibility. But ultimately, it stops Rel from engaging, you know, pre-level 3 and gives a very free laning phase through that stage, and then forces you to use both forms of crowd control to even hit something on you from that point onwards just by having the spell shield. So there is a lot of utility that is available there. And also providing that go button for a Lilia or for an Alistar to go in does help a lot.
Plenty of go buttons, really, for the Peace roster. And the Chiefs... I think the Chiefs have plenty of stop buttons, you know? So it's kind of like an unstoppable force meets an immovable object kind of a battle, I feel like, for this matchup in particular. Nothing crazy. Everyone's just fanned out across the rift, waiting to see if there'll be an engage, but neither team particularly eager in that respect, and neither team has a hugely strong level 1 here, so DC lacking on both sides. No real need to do anything silly.
We are joined by Kuden here, Elfish Guy as well, so as we look towards this game, Kuden, first of all, how do you think the draft went? Because there is some certainly abstract stuff here for your team.
Yeah, I think we destroyed them in the draft. I think we got really good up-dust champs. Yo,
Elfish Guy, I'll be honest with you, I can't hear because of the rain, so I'm going to need you to keep talking for this.
Okay,
Yo.
well, Kuden did just say that he... yo, what's up?
Hello?
All right, how you going? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, well, look, let's just touch on the red buff there. A little bit of a steal going through.
Yoza.
Can you hear Elfish Guy, Kuden? Because if not, then it's okay. We'll just move on. I think we just move on and talk about the game. Sorry about this, Kuden, but the microphones aren't working, so we'll move on. We'll focus on the game at hand. There was a red buff stole at level 1, Elfish, that you mentioned, so let's just start with that, shall we?
Yeah, a little bit of shenanigans going on at level 1. Pretty hard to catch, obviously, in the mix of that. But in the end, Swave has come away with a little bit of a lead in terms of the jungle already, doubling the CS of Lisa, although we can expect that to sort of catch up inevitably. But look, across the board, not a terrible start for Chiefs up in the top lane as well. Feeling quite happy there. And I think bot lane, mid lane, you're going to be looking more towards that farm in the long term.
Yeah, and look at the way that these lanes will play out pretty organically. You would expect not a lot of action to be happening overall. You would expect, again, a lot of the game to be dictated around the movements of these junglers. So you've got Kayn, a very aggressive, fast farming jungler who, if they get ganks off, we might have to hold that as Lived is in a lot of danger here. Wow, all right.
Happy. That's not how that matchup is supposed to go at all. And that's first blood indeed for Peace. So that definitely relieves some of the pressure that it felt like was starting to build up in the top lane. And, well, Liv is going to have to teleport back to the top lane as well. So now we have a TP advantage for top. See whether or not that comes into effect later on in the piece.
I swear this matchup just is not that one-sided. Like, I swear, Nah can't just keep doing these things and getting away with it in 1v1s. That's kind of ridiculous. But nevertheless, Appy gets it done. He's just that good of a player. And again, to my original point, is you probably do want to be playing around these junglers because, again, you want Kayn to get successful ganks off, not just power farm. The more that he gets, the faster you'll get to his form, the happier he will be, and the happier you will be as a team, because there is that critical mass point with a Kayn where he feels legitimately useless until he gets a transform. And it's what I would call the Inter-Horizon, Jordan, where the only way that you're going to get that transform and be a relevant champion is by running it at someone and dying.
Yeah, just need to do some damage. Swave, he was spotted by a couple of wards on the way up here, so Lisa will look to contest the Krugs. Doesn't quite get there in time, and the smite will secure it for Swave. overall, he'll be happy still. Gets a little bit of the farm through there, Liv to help out. But you can see at the moment, Lisa is getting bullied out of the jungle by Swathe, and we'll take an early recall. Look, I mean, at the moment, it's still... everyone's happy, I think.
Yeah, they certainly should be. Of course, looking at bottom lane, there is still a 9 CS difference with an even lane state, so that's not something that you'd be too happy about if you're the Chiefs. Again, we are only 5 minutes in, so a CSD of that great is noteworthy. Kisei, as you can see as well, currently having 0 HP because it has been mostly isolated. It does give a lot of agency to someone like a Yone to be able to use that E off cooldown, be super aggressive and chunk your health. But so far, he's alive, right? And so far, the Chiefs bottom lane is still kicking, still hanging in there. It could be significantly worse. Lane's just kind of playing as expected, besides top.
Kisei has hit level 6, always a good time when you're playing the Anivia. Some of the Anivia changes that came through recently quite interesting.
Oh,
I'll hold that thought because Lived is in trouble again. Doesn't have flash available and has a rock in his face as well. Appy is just top gapping this game insanely well right now.
Yeah, we're getting top lift like you would not believe. That kill happens with no support on the top side of the map for Appy as well. Lisa, level 4, bottom side of the rift, looking to try and get something down there. So Appy knows he's on his own, but has the plated steel caps, had the early kill, had the experience advantage, and that is more than enough to hit that one home and secure himself the second solo kill of the game, 6 minutes in, and that is dire straits to be lived.
Yeah, not good news at all for Chiefs. I mean, we talked about how important the Gangplank and the Kayn would be in the later game team fights. If this Gangplank is incredibly far behind, how does that affect Chiefs as a team fighting kind of composition?
I mean, if they're like if a Gangplank is behind and the rest of the team comp is still looking to team fight, I don't necessarily think it is the end of the world. The risk and the danger there would be more that the Gnar is ahead. You know, Gangplank is one of those champions that can catch up decently well as long as he continues to farm evenly. Just having that Q bonus gold with every minion that you last hit does start to add up after a while. There's Swathe.
There's a gank in mid. Swathe looking for anything. Kizay dodges the headbutt, but can't dodge Halo's ultimate. And the egg is not going to save anybody in that situation. Even Appy coming down to join the party with that teleport. TP gap, I mean, it didn't really matter. I think he was dead anyway, but something to note.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, that was really well played by Alidoric, who's the person I'd want to talk about most after that little skirmish, you know. Goes for the headbutt, doesn't go for the pulverize. Kisei flashes it, which is what you would expect of such a good player of his caliber, but Alidoric obviously prepared for that one step ahead. He's able to flash pulverize, lock him down with the stun. And once he's Agnivia this early in the game, he is completely doomed.
Yeah, honestly, doesn't feel that bad to be using a flash there as Alidoric. He's got the X flash to start with, and even still being able to pick that kill up, send your mid laner ahead quite substantially is always going to be worth. It also results in an early dragon, which to be fair was only a cloud, but small advantages can snowball into bigger ones. The answer on the other side from Chiefs, though, is that they will look to pick up the Rift Herald.
Another
Halo's
trade.
getting aggressive, but Kizay not concerned.
Yeah, no Ignite, no Ultimate there for Halo, so there wasn't ever actually going to be kill threat. That was more of a zoning play there from Kisei overall. It does get a nice little trade back, however, just then onto Halo, and does start to force the Yone back under turret. Note that the Herald signal has gone off to Peace, so he knows that there might be a Kayn nearby. He knows that the threat of a dive could happen, especially with Kayn's ability to reset that turret aggro. And so he started to play a little bit more passively until the Anivia left. Of course, back to normal farming now.
Hearing something going on in the jungle. Dragku will get out of there okay. Love the cowbell coming through from the Alistair. Good skin, that one.
I would say the best skin by far, actually.
Definitely. Well, look, one thing to be said for Lived is that he is indeed keeping up on CS pretty nicely. So not getting knocked out of the game by virtue of those couple of deaths.
Yeah, we look towards the first skirmish, I think, more than anything else here as the point of contention. Do Chiefs, you know, really try and push an agenda and match any kind of objective fights. You know, the Dragon number 2 is up in 3 minutes. So the good news is they have 3 minutes. The bad news is in that time, you're expecting to see Appy with a full completed item and most likely to have that in advantage over his lane opponent. So it'll become a very difficult time to contend with this Gnar wherever he goes.
Yeah. Haven't really touched on the bot lane at all so far in these first 10 minutes, and that's because there isn't a whole lot to discuss down there. It's just a farm lane, at least that's what it should be, and so far it is. Here comes another gank, Aladoric. He knows that Kizay does not have the flash this time, nor the egg, and that is a freebie for Halo.
Yeah, they are making life miserable for this Anivia in mid lane. Pick a scaling mid lane champion, pick a scaling jungle champion, and get punished, is what Peace are telling you right now. So they are looking at this draft and finding their ways to exploit it, and they are wildly successful so far. And one of the reasons they are is because Aladoric's been able to consistently leave bottom lane, and it's meant nothing in the way of Violet losing farm or falling behind. He is happy.
Yeah, here he comes again, but standing on top of a pink ward. Swaith has to back away as well. Aladoric does have Hex Flash, but not available right now. But will have the backup from Halo, who just decides to go back over the wall quite safely. Well done from Peace. One thing I wanted to point out was the control in the jungle that Peace have got on that bot side. You can even still see that they have a control ward in the Wraith Bush. They had one just above the red buff as well. So they've been able to dictate the game from that. Aladoric caught out, does pop the ultimate, but I don't think that's going to be enough to keep him alive here. And that is going to be a kill over to Mboma. Bit of an anti-climax after a great start for Aladoric.
Yeah, I don't think they're necessarily tracking timers there on the side of Chiefs, because that Kayn ultimate was really not necessary. Maybe expecting him to flash the wall, get the safety, so they wanted the insurance policy. At the end of the day, Aladoric's flash was just not available from what we could tell. It is now, so just a little bit off there. At the end of the day, Herald spawned, lots of stacks go the way of the Kayn. Good punish onto Aladoric. And that's the one real tragedy so far of what's been happening. And that's a big opening that they gave the Chiefs.
Swaith might not get out of this one okay. Flashes to avoid the knock-up, and will just get over the wall. That looked spicy for a moment.
Oh, and it was very spicy for just a moment. But Kayn's one of those real pain champions, man.
Yeah.
Any wall is an escape. Even if you've taken damage and it reduces the duration you can be in that wall, you can press Q while you're traveling, cover some extra distance, and it pops you out on the side that you're the closest to. So you'll definitely be able to get over even the chunkiest of walls, even after taking damage. And there's the mastery of a Swain mate. A Swaith mate. Swaith Kayn. There we go.
There you go. Got there in the end. It's nice to have the point-and-click crowd control, though, that Alistair provides when it comes to something pesky like the Kayn. Might be quite impactful in shutting him down, much the same as he's been able to shut down the early game of Kizay, who is now starting to receive a little bit more help from his teammates. You can see Drag, who able to roam up while his bot laner is walking back from base, keeps Kizay feeling a little bit safer in mid. But we're starting to really see that gold lead work its way over in the favor of Peace. And now they turn their attention toward the second dragon. There won't be a contest here from Chiefs. There isn't really a way in for them. Too much control for Peace at this stage of the game.
Yeah, most definitely. And again, you know, a lot of the relief that Kizay is getting in mid lane is just vision that is being placed in a pretty neutral to defensive place by the side of the Chiefs. So they're not actually offering anything other than buying him some space at best, as Lived is going to have to flash his way to safety there. Appy once again showing that he is the king of this top lane matchup right now. But at the end of the day, the main point there, Elfish Guy, is that when you see Peace move around the map, they're getting killed, right? They're getting stuff done, where Chiefs are just like picking up the scraps, trying to hold on. That's the main contrast here.
Not really where you want to be the one playing proactively more than reactively. Need to see some proactive plays pretty soon from Chiefs, otherwise this lead might start to stretch. Siva pushing the wave into the bot tower, but when you're up against a Heimerdinger, there's a fat chance you're going to be able to do any damage to the turret in lane, and so far we're seeing that as well.
Yeah.
So again, bot lane just continues to be a bit more farm oriented. There's a little bit of excitement when the roams come through, but when it's the straight up 2v2, no one's interested in doing anything.
Nah, just a bit boring, really. watching those four play without anyone else nearby.
That's
Yeah.
that's like the worst kind of lane to play as a support, because if you're Dragku, you're just sitting there going, okay, well, I kind of need to stay here just to make sure Mboma doesn't get dove. But if I'm doing that, I'm not really doing anything. I'm just walking around in the lane.
No, I don't know about you, but like I straight up just like boredom in, you know?
Yeah, I tend to
legitimate
walk
strategy. I'm sure Pabu can vouch for that one if he is watching the stream, but boredom inting is 100% a thing.
Yeah, definitely have had a few of those in my time. Maybe not so much a boredom int on my side, but I will be prone to just walking away from the lane and my AD carry inevitably gets dove, and then I'm like, oh, that might have been my fault, but I wasn't the one that died.
That's why you play Bard. You should just pick it up.
Yeah, maybe. Too many mechanics for me, man. Speaking of mechanics, some going on in the mid lane. Aladoric looks for the flash headbutt pole and does connect it, but there's not enough follow-up. Halo had to back off earlier on, and these are a little bit too late to the party.
Yeah, going for like ultimate use there is a bit of a deterrent more than anything else. And Chiefs, again, just trying to hold on. They weren't trying to get any kind of trades back. They're just hanging in there in top lane, hanging in there in mid lane. Bot lane, as we already spoke about, has a significant CS difference, but they got some plates. They got a kill there for Mboma. So they're pretty much even down there overall. You're looking, again, 2 minutes, 20 seconds. Drake number 3 is going to be available for Peace. Is this a point in the game where Chiefs choose to fight, or will they continue to just play, you know, static, just try and hold and continue scaling? Because at a certain point, they have no choice. They'll have to fight.
Happy looking threatening in the top lane here as well, but that chunk of HP might just be enough to send him packing for the moment. He's hanging around, and it seems Lived is aware of it. Something's going on in the bot lane. Aladoric gets the headbutt back towards his own tower, but it's still Violet who's forced to flash away. They retain heal, they retain ignite, but presence in the bot lane this time from the Chiefs. Meanwhile, in top, tower goes down. So first turret of the game goes to Peace.
They stick around for an extra couple of seconds there. Swathe may be looking to threaten a dive. They're going to be put to sleep here, actually.
Oh, Halo is keen for it. The egg is available. Is there enough damage? Yes. And Halo has done a very nice job of tracking the damage on the tower. He'll get out of there alive. So will Lisa. And Swathe arrives to watch them run off into the distance.
He's not even a janitor. He's just a bit of a magpie at the moment, Swathe. He's getting the crumbs. Nothing else left for him. Anywhere he goes, he's going to be a little bit late. Gets one stack of his passive bottom, one stack of it mid lane. But Halo's already done the damage. They kill the mid laner once again. They flash out to safety, and the job is done. The damage is dealt. This consistently happening is not a good thing for the Chiefs. Like, they're only 1,000 to 2,000 gold behind, right? That's a positive takeaway from the fact that the game feels like it's so much more than that.
Well, they're about to be further behind, not so much in respect to the gold, but in respect to the game state, because Dragon is coming up in 30 seconds, and Peace, you can already see, are starting to work their way through River, establishing some vision control. Dragku's going to come in and try and clear some of that out. But it always feels bad to be the second support there, because things like this can happen. Aladoric lets him know that he's watching. Yeah. And that makes you just feel a little bit uncomfortable walking in there to try and put your wards down.
That was definitely an ego combo there from Aladoric. He didn't need to do that, but he did it. It sends a message to his friend Dragku. Don't you dare step up in my waters. I support that.
Well, Swathe is hanging around the Dragon right now. Has cleared vision in that bush, so Peace needs to make sure they don't make a misstep. You can still see Appy up in the top lane, has teleport available, but starting to walk down. There's a little bit going on with Halo, who is actually under pressure. Swathe might be able to grab this kill. That could be huge. Oh, it's actually Mboma who grabs it with a fadeaway rockets. And we have our first pause of the night, Rusty. I feel actually a little bit blessed that we got this far into the evening without having the O's pause, but I suppose you do need one.
It's a rite of passage, isn't it? We've made it to 19 minutes into 3 games before it came across, so yes, you should probably feel blessed we got through game 1, which is what happens most of the time. Not blaming any production, it's just fate at this point. But hey, we got to game 3, we just saw a kill go down there as well. Halo actually dropping from, what was a prediction from Mboma actually? Knowing that the Q3 was available even predicts the direction that he was going to dash. So well done there from the Chiefs bottom laner. The only one who seems to be really doing his best.
Yeah, I've got a couple of things to quiz you on while we get through this pause, although it looks like we might be back into game quite quickly. So we'll hold that thought and see where the rest of this fight is going to go. Because without Halo, Peace are obviously down a man, and they're more than likely going to have to give up this dragon. Aladoric is still hanging around, but Lisa doesn't look particularly interested. Halo, 19 seconds, doesn't have TP even if he was alive, so no chance. Chiefs secure themselves the dragon. First one of the game for them.
I believe that was the transform there for Swaith earlier. We're only just seeing him now. Of course, he has gone towards what looks like the red cane on that skin. It's so hard to tell with his skin sometimes, but I believe that's the red cane on an Odyssey skin or something like that. So transformation there is a big deal. It's a big spike. And, you know, the timing of that kill happening in bottom lane while he was red cane is no coincidence, you'd have to say, as he starts to feel himself a little bit more. And that does mean that Chiefs as a whole will start to feel themselves a little bit more, be able to maybe take those aggressive team fights, as he provides a second frontline type of option to go with the Rel.
Dragku over the Baron wall, but right into Lisa. This could be very bad news for Chiefs if they lose their support for free. And it looks like the fight will continue. Peace are not letting anyone get away without expending at least a flash or two. Liv has to use his, and now Peace turning their attention to Baron.
Yeah, Dragku down. Summoner spell's gone from Liv, no HP, but he does have the teleport, so the Gangplank can back into the fight. Aladoric has found Swaith, however. Oh, wow.
Connection. And Swaith is forced to use the ulti, but Halo brings him right back into the team. Swaith headbutted over the wall, but not quite far enough. Appy catches up. And the Mega Gnar is having a field day this game. Tisei hanging around on Anivia, but God knows what you're going to be able to do here.
I don't know, man. He might be able to do something with everyone starting to group back up. Think about what was used just to take down the jungler, and then this Baron reset completely to full health. They're threatening enough. Lisa could even get chunked here.
Yeah, could very much get chunked, and lucky maybe to even get out of there alive coming out of that Zhonya's, but I mean, all's well that ends well for Peace in the grand scheme of things. It wasn't as good as it perhaps could have been, but they still increase that gold gap and put a bit more pressure on Peace. Might lose their mid turret shortly. No contest though from Chiefs.
Overall, you know, they get 2 kills if we're going to extend that trade. They get the flash out of Liv, though they don't get his teleport. What they lose was a pretty massive wave on that bottom lane outer turret that does go down. You'd still call that a pretty significant win for Peace overall, but you are seeing some signs of life from the Chiefs in response to that. You know, if you're going to use everything to kill a single person, then of course we're going to contest you. So we're starting to see those lines in the sand get drawn just a little bit more clearly with each passing minute, to a point where, like, again, it's only 2,000 gold difference. If you've got a Heimerdinger in the area, there's a chance you can win the fight.
Are we getting to a situation now as well where Kisei is starting to come online? Wow. Looks like Halo's not interested, but yeah, Anivia scaling pretty nicely, even despite 0-3.
I mean, he's going to take a little while. You know, he has gone for the Everfrost build, and the way that this Mythic passive works is it's a 15 extra ability power for every completed Legendary item afterwards. So naturally, that owes itself to being 3 items, 4 items, where it starts to become an incredibly big deal. The only person who's truly online is Heimerdinger, but Kayn is persistently strong from this point, as is the Rel. It's just that when you look down at your opponents, you basically never want your Gangplank to be there if it means that the Gnar is, right? That's the conscious choice you now have to make, because Yone's ulted bottom.
Yeah, he has. Might have gone a little bit too deep, but as always, there is the get out of jail free card. He's going to be fine, and so much lifesteal that you get for free on Yone means that he can heal back up pretty quickly, even despite getting chunked down. So should be able to get back into the fight fairly quickly if he just farms some of those jungle camps. No fight to eventuate though, and everyone's quite happy to just reset themselves. There's nothing really to fight over at the moment, so we're back to lane phase, it feels like, almost.
We've seen some pretty insane aggression from Yone's today, as Swait's actually found Lisa.
Hasn't quite found Lisa well enough. We'll be able to get out of there, but Swaith's starting to get a little bit scary. You can see everyone giving him the respect that he deserves now that he has transformed.
Ooh, massive boomerang actually there onto Kisei's health bar as well. Aladoric with the flash available could go at any moment now. A lot of respect has to be shown by the Chiefs, but with the third dragon in 15 seconds, how much can they actually show? The Swaith going in and dying could mean a clean Baron this time.
Yeah, Appy already in Mega Gnar mode.
That's a dirty Baron.
So might not be able to have it for an upcoming fight. It is, but it's not going to end up resulting in a whole lot. Chiefs will give ground. Be happy with the rotation that they forced off from Peace. Need to be aware that Halo's still hanging around at the Dragons, so that can get started pretty quickly for Peace.
Yeah, he can solo it.
That's where they will go.
100%. It was a blue trinket used actually by Violet, I believe, to spot them doing the Baron. So they got onto the cheese incredibly fast. And yes, while they lose some control of the bottom side by physically walking to the Baron, it's not that the Chiefs gain anything in response, right? Because they have to disengage up, away from the Dragon even further. So that is just a free objective taken. A cute attempt from Mboma, but ultimately that's all it is going to be. And honestly, that's just credit to Peace for being so vigilant to know that that could be coming.
Doesn't really feel to me like either team wants to engage a fight at this point. No one's trying to force anything.
I don't like this. They're sitting cheesing for a Raptor camp when they haven't cleared Baron vision. There's like, in terms of incentive to face check that bush, they're looking for someone who has no discipline. But a disciplined team obviously has no reason to walk into that area. So they're actually just wasting a lot of time here from the side of the Chiefs. Peace, now that they've pushed the mid wave, they've got priority and they also have members nearby. They'll start to walk in and it's a free Wraith take. Ultimately, Swaith just spent 30 seconds doing nothing.
Yeah, and in the meanwhile, Appy has been having a good time down in bot, just pushing that wave. It's nearly at the tower. Lived is going to walk on down to catch the wave that is coming in, but that's going to give Appy the opportunity to start walking his way up and see if he can force anything, or just to continue to put a bit of pressure down on the bot lane and maybe force the jungler down, which then means Peace can pressure Baron. It's a bit of a game of cat and mouse at the moment.
It can definitely become that when a top laner starts to run away with this game as well. As Appy sweeps his way through the entire jungle, knows it's clear. So on this next wave, the question becomes, what do the rest of Peace do? Most of the vision has to be topside by default then, but they have control of the map. So they basically have free run of the mill here when it comes to the river control and how they want to play this out. Teleport ready for Appy as he starts to get closer and closer to that Mega Gnar also. Opportunities will present themselves.
Both of the side lanes becoming an issue for Chiefs. See top pushing in as well underneath the turret, losing a fair bit of CS. Kisei will go and catch what remains of it. But it seems that at the moment, Peace are really just happy to keep Chiefs running all over the map, waiting for that big mistake. They might have actually found it. This time, it's not the Chiefs making a mistake. Perhaps it's Aladoric. Let's find out. He does get the headbutt pole through onto Mboma. I spoke too soon. Violet is in there and collapsed upon by Dragku, but gets out alive. Boomerang Blade on the return is enough for the kill. And while Halo did miss the ultimate, he's in the back lines causing a lot of problems. Lived
Swaith.
Very low on HP, will be out of the fight. That could be big. Swaith will kill Violet, but how many more can he find?
The one quiet achiever in that team fight was Swaith, definitely. You know, when Boma gone, basically immediately Dragku used everything but got nothing done because it was all onto an Alistar, who, by the way, still survived through all of that. And Violet just puts in a ton of work. However, the Kayn starts to get into the back line, puts some damage down, finds the Sivir. And as the dust settles, that really was kind of just a 1-for-1 with health advantage going the way of Chiefs.
And as a result, they're going to get their Baron started. It's going to take a while for Aladoric to get here. He's still just running back from base. Swaith is keeping an eye on things, just sitting in the wall, providing some vision. The turrets are down, the steal is in. Halo, low on HP, is going to try and get out of there. I think they're going to leave Lisa. They're happy with that. It's daylight robbery.
Was that even a smite? Swaith had no smite himself, so choosing to go for that was illegal. They actually, I just assumed Swaith had smite. I forgot to look at that afterwards. Not available. massive from the Chiefs. That basically almost throws themselves the entire game away. They started to show signs of life. They were matching team fight trades. They're going to have to do it from a major deficit now and against the Baron buff.
Yeah, look, I don't blame you, honestly, for that, because it just felt like Chiefs were so confident in that Baron play that you wouldn't question them. In the end, it all came off of the back of this, which was a bit of a messy fight. In the end, it worked out kind of even. If Halo connects that ulti, I wonder how much that changes things. But it was, yeah, Swaith in the late stages here that you can see. Got on top of Violet.
Yeah, he had Lisa
Smartly.
busy the whole time there as well. So 950 shut down in the hands of the Kane. You're laughing in that situation. It was a 1-for-1 where you get those shutdowns. And then they go straight to the Baron buff, and you're feeling pretty decent, honestly, if you were the Chiefs in this situation. But again, no smite. They took the burger flip. It was a bad one.
GP ulti has gone in, so has Swaith underneath the tower. Pops the Zhonya's, but it's not really going to keep him alive for too long. The counter engage is here from Peace, and there's an egg on the floor. Maybe that's going to be some scrambled or fried eggs for Violet. And a follow-up from Elisa as well. I mean, that even caught me off guard, but I think half of that dive caught Chiefs off guard. There wasn't really enough follow-up, and Peace just turned it nicely.
Yeah, once again, Appy shows supremacy of his top lane champions right now. Picks the Gnar, pops off in laning phase, comes into the team fights and does the exact same thing. The Dragon now being looked at by the Chiefs. Aladoric
is going on there?
Literally inting. He's buying time, I presume, for them to try and end the game, but they were not even remotely close to ending the game. Let's just ignore what Aladoric did and say, well done, Peace.
Yeah, overall, you can't really complain too much. Sometimes you lose a pick here or there, but by and large, it was a successful passage of play for Peace. Chiefs do get their second Dragon, though I'm not sure how much that's really going to help them. We'll go back and have a look at the replay of the earlier fight. Looks like Swaith got an engage on Halo that he thought was going to be good, but it took him a little bit too deep.
Yeah, I mean, that's the nature of the Kane ultimate, right? He tries his best to get in there and do the damage early, but then you've got Yone covering mountains of distance, and suddenly the reinforcements arrive from Peace. You know, Appy comes in, hits that two-man ultimate. Lily is putting everyone to sleep. But here we go, back to the same bush maybe of old. Will it work a second time after the Scuttle Crab?
Don't think Peace are going to be too eager to make any mistakes at this point in the game. They have it well and truly in control. And some aspects of the Chiefs' composition just don't feel like they've come online yet. Tisay had a great game yesterday, but on the Anivia right now, not providing enough presence. Halo being able to get into the back lines and cause a lot of problems.
Oh.
You know, it sort of feels like a ticking time bomb, that Anivia, but I don't know whether or not that bomb's ever going to go off.
It's one of those things that, like, I don't even think it's a ticking time bomb anymore. I think it's just buying time for the rest of your team. And, you know, you need a Zhonya's Hourglass to kind of survive through these team fights if you were the Chiefs AP carries, but neither of them can really afford to get one because they need other things so greatly. And that's the kind of tax being paid as Appy's caught.
I don't know if this is the guy that you want to be catching. He'll go Mega, gets the Gnar ultimate off. But Appy, well, he is well and truly caught because the rest of the team's on the other side of the map. So normally you don't want to be going all in on the tanky top laner, but in this instance, a freebie for Chiefs, but it's at the cost of their top tower.
Yeah, tower most likely going to fall there. If not, it will survive on 1 HP. And there it goes. So the trade is on. However, that is now a 4v5 for 35 seconds with objectives starting to get closer to being around. So if you're the Chiefs in this position, you have enough time now to push up a little bit more aggressively in your vision placement. Try and get something perhaps behind Peace, somewhere they won't clear, so you know when they're going to the Baron. Give yourself more information, give yourself a fighting chance in what is still a decent deficit. It's weird because every time I look up, it's still only 3,000 or 2,000, but it still feels so much worse than that.
Most definitely. Peace will be waiting for Appy to respawn before looking to go too deep. Aladoric getting some wards down on the map as well. Baron's going to be up in about a minute. You can see the pings heading in that direction from both teams. Everyone's looking to establish some vision control.
This is the moment where the dance starts to begin. The Baron Tango commences. And you can see mid priority obviously going to be one of the key factors that you look at. Who is going to be able to get that one? And generally a Sivir's not going to have any issues. You can't contest the Sivir for that control. You've also got Super starting to push in mid lane. So Peace get a free first step, and they're also looking.
Ooh. Yeah, they're not even keen on waiting around. They want to force the issue themselves. Sivir pops the ulti. Everyone charges on in there. I think Aladoric might have even used a Hex Flash. Halo has put the egg on the floor again. Dragku and Liv now the focus of fire, but so far, no kill. They need to all turn. They're trying to peel for Violet. Swaith is in the back line doing so much work, and in the meanwhile, Appy is getting soloed. That was a tale of 2 4-on-1 skirmishes, and Chiefs won.
Yeah, I mean, the Guardian Angel difference right there proves to be a little bit too much. Swaith lives for ages. They can't take him down. They struggle to hit him. I would imagine the untargetability, Swaith would have sat in that ultimate for quite some time. And with Appy gone, Baron started. It goes down incredibly fast, and no contest to be seen from the side of Peace.
The game is turning. At least that's what it feels like right now. Dragon in 30 seconds could be pretty big for Peace if they get it. They're on soul point already. 1 point to add, perhaps. There's only 1 item for Grievous Wound for Peace, so that might be part of the reason why they're having difficulty dealing with Swaith. But Lilia was in that fight, so you would think the Grievous Wounds were stacking on Swaith regardless, and if that was the case, then that's a scary prospect because Swaith lived through that for so damn long.
I mean, it's a fair point, worth raising. Of course, that was the part of the fight that we weren't able to see. One other thing, actually, if you take stock at champions, Lived is basically caught up and is ahead of Appy. All that farming in the side lanes has really paid off, and starting to get some of these kills and these skirmishes. Suddenly that gangplank is actually ahead of his lane opponent. And things start to really shift. Look at the farm difference as well between these junglers. I mean, you've got a 0-4 mid laner, but it's a Nivea that is an expert of buying time. You saw the egg was basically winning the fight in that last one as well, because they didn't get the first trade.
Well, how quickly the tables turn. Happens like that sometimes. We've all been there. You're having a nice game, and then all of a sudden you lose a team fight, and it starts to feel a bit oppressive. How do we start this fight? How do we engage? How do we survive this fight? Well, Halo has a bead on Swaith and takes him all the way out of the fight. I'm not sure if that'll be beneficial for Peace or not. It's a 1v3. Swaith still alive, still surviving, but not for long enough. The Dragon even goes over to Peace. And finally, they might have found the engage that they wanted. Violet on the flank might well be enough to deal with Liv. Halo is there still to try and provide the front line. But Peace still lose the fight. It's a crazy trade, but they get the Dragon, so is it worth?
It was a 3-for-4 trade in the end. The Ocean Soul, you would have to say, is always worth it. And one of the key factors as to why is you've just bought time against the Baron buffed opponent, took 3 of them down. The buff that you have persists forever. You are in such a good position, and they're not getting anything on the map while you're dead. So at the end of the day, that's a trade that you'll take any day of the week. Because Swaith could have popped out of this ultimate sooner, but chooses to get back into the fight here. Walks into an Aladoric waiting for him. Violet comes back on the flank as well, so they're able to just chunk him out. And that's with the Dragon at 1,000 health. So definitely wants to get with the rest of the team. Halo able to use that ultimate, get in there, and Liv, thankfully, does a boatload of damage. They're able to get Halo and get out. Thieves in the night, or Violet was chasing him.
Big benefit from the Heimerdinger turret that was still sitting down in the Dragon Pit as well. That's kind of what helped to zone Halo. You saw Aladoric try to continue the fight, but Halo turned around to deal with the turret, and Violet was on the flank still trying to get into the fight. So it was just maybe a bit of miscommunication for Peace. Everyone thought different things needed to happen at the same time. In the end, I mean, it still comes out favorably for Peace, but it's not as clean as it could have been. And I think that might actually be the story of this this game so far. Both teams having moments where they could have really forced the issue, but neither being able to really capitalize.
A bit of miscommunication there from the side of the Chiefs from the looks of it. Gangplank using that ultimate when Draku was definitely actively disengaging. Also, we've got 40 more CS till the Sivir wins by default, so a bit of pressure. If you're unfamiliar with the Sivir 500 CS win condition, that's basically there now. 140 ahead of lane opponent.
Not too shabby.
That's
Can't
nasty.
complain about that. But I mean, when the numbers are that big, does it really matter?
Oh, it does with the Sivir. The reason that it's so good on Sivir is like she already has 100% crit with the 5 items that she has, right? But those Grievous, wow, Berserker Greaves, not Grievous Wounds. The Berserker Greaves can become an extra item, and she already has the ultimate for that movement speed. She doesn't necessarily need anything extra. It's just going to be free stats.
Ooh, this might be free. Speaking of, Kisei caught easy as you like, and that is a heartbreaker for Chiefs. That might be enough to lose him the game. 60-second respawn for Kisei, and Lisa says, thank you very much. Go to sleep, here's a nightmare.
I mean, quite frankly, I think he forgot what team he was on there for just a glimmer of a moment, and that's all it takes. Good punish from Peace, but I mean, that's definitely someone out in the middle of nowhere waiting to be caught.
Well, that said, Chiefs do still have some nice wave clear with the Heimerdinger, so see how much Peace is going to be able to force off of this. Really does feel like the battle of the wave clearers. Anivia, Sivir, Heimerdinger, everyone gets in the mix. That turret is going down. Peace are not afraid of the turrets, nor
What about that one?
Heimerdinger's little ones. Yeah, I mean, at that point, that one's really a PVE 50. No complaints here from Peace, and they'll take an inhibitor.
Move to bottom lane, most likely going to be the next option here, and well played from Peace, right? You've got 2 options against that Heimerdinger and the Anivia, of course, if she's alive. You can split push into multiple lanes, which is really hard to do when Anivia and Heimerdinger are alive, or you just engage. You push them so far away from the minions and threaten them, which is what happens with a Shirelia's pot from Aladoric. He says if you come close, you try and clear this wave, you die. And so they're able to force their way in to get that inhibitor. And well timed as well with this Baron being up. Superstar to barrel down top.
Well, Baron is going to be the next piece of the puzzle. Whether it's going to be a piece of the puzzle in keeping the game alive for Chiefs or finishing it off for Peace, we will have to see. Teleport invested by Appy to get into the mid lane. Chiefs are eager to get this one started.
Oh, this is your last chance, Baron. They're going all or nothing here, Chiefs.
Sivirol gets Aladoric into the backline. Dragku doing a great job of zoning, but Halo is on top of all of them. And Lilia arrives as well. Lisa, so much damage, gets the Baron as well. And Peace, that surely is now enough to grab a victory.
Yeah, Appy's just going to have to try his best to stay alive here. He's going to fall down to the Leandri's Torment. So that's one person that falls for the side of Peace, but Baron buff, Sivir, it's going to be so hard to stop them here with just the 2 members that you've currently got. That should be game for Peace.
Yeah, teleports all over the place to get down into the base. Swathe is still alive, and he's been a pain to deal with. Emboma at this point, I don't think is a huge factor. They're quite happy to just walk over those turrets to destroy them, and that is the Nexus going down. Peace will secure the victory. 41 minutes and 50 seconds. It took them a damn while. But in the end, they pick up the win, and that's all you can really wait for.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a bit of a slog. Not the perfect game from Peace by any means, but they'll be very happy that they got that victory, and they do have a lot to be proud about.
Indeed. Well, Mac is back, and it's great to have you here for a chat, Mac. That one gave you a nice little break, didn't it? 40 minutes or so. Did you grab any dinner this time, or perhaps some dessert?
Yeah,
pineapples?
I did.
by
Well,
chance?
I didn't have a second dinner. I've already eaten, so I wasn't that hungry, honestly. But I did sit down for probably about 20 minutes thinking, oh, this game will end soon. Oh, this game will end soon. Oh, this game will end soon. And then it just didn't. And then it just didn't. And it continued to just not end. And it was great to watch Chiefs really fighting their way back into the game. I don't know if it was Peace just misplaying that one a little bit, allowing Chiefs to make that comeback happen, or if Chiefs were just really outskilling them. I couldn't even tell. There was a whole lot of crazy stuff going on. Who was it? It was... who was on Kane again? Swathe with that 1v4 attempt at some point as well. I was just like, what is happening? How is this even allowed? And it didn't work out for it. Well, kind of worked out for him. The fact that he didn't die, he had the Guardian Angel saving him there. And look, I feel like Chiefs did all they could, but Peace, of course, just had too much of an advantage early on, which they leaned on to get across the line.
Yeah, there really was sort of like a tipping point where it kind of felt like maybe Chiefs might have enough. It was actually this fight here in particular where Swathe seemed to tank all 4 of the Peace players, and they didn't really have a way to deal with Swathe. But then coming into the following fight, which was this Dragon fight, he kind of got baited on top of Halo, landed on top of Aladoric, and at that point you get locked up by the Alistair for so long. And for me, it was a kind of a case of, okay, kill the Kayn, and Peace wins the fight, because there wasn't really any threats behind that. Yes, the Gangplank was there, he started to get into the game and did a little bit of work, but Kisei, you know, wasn't really as big of a factor, I felt like, as what Halo was, and Boma, the same can be said when respectively compared to Violet. It just felt like individually there was a little bit more damage coming out of the mid laner and the bot laner, and so if the jungler was out of the picture and the top laner wasn't really a factor as well, then in the end, Peace is just going to come away with the win.
I mean, that's basically what it became, right? It wasn't even kill the Kayn and then win the game. It was the Kayn exists, but let's walk past him and just hit the rest of the team. And wow, we do damage, the game's over. Like, it literally just, once you were able to do that, it was so easy for Peace. But getting through that hurdle was a clear, massive hurdle to deal with.
Yeah, it was a long slog, that game. And I don't know, there was points when people were just sort of caught out of position, especially, you know, Kisei towards the end there. That was a very scary point, and I believe that certainly allowed Peace over the line. But look, we do have Nat on the sidelines with one of our victors to have a quick chat with. Hey Nat, how's the weather down there on the sidelines?
It's pretty good. You know, it's good grass, clear skies. But I'm here with Violet. I have to say congratulations on yet another win, but also for now having the longest game in the LCO. I have to ask though, why do you think the game stalled out for so long?
I'm not too sure. I think we just had a lot of like mid-late game blunders. Like early game, we played the game very well. Like we were ahead by a lot early game, but we just threw a lot at the neutral objectives. We just didn't execute fights properly, which is why the game dragged on for so long. So, yeah.
Would you take that down to potentially being a bit of a communication issue, or just placement, or what would it be?
I think, yeah, we just approached fights the wrong way, and that ended up, like, we should have won every fight after, like, getting such a huge lead early, but, yeah, we just approached the fights the wrong way, which ended up into a very long game.
Yeah. We did see a pretty similar team composition to your last game. Is that something, you know, that's comfortable for you guys and we'll be seeing a lot more?
Yeah. I mean, I was surprised they picked Heimer, to be honest. Like, I know Mboma pulls out the Heimer pick once in a while, but they banned out Kai'Sa and Saya. I thought they were gonna do the skill matchup, Kai'Sa versus Saya, but they picked Heimer, and I knew if I picked like a scaling AD carry, I'd just out-team fight the enemy bot lane anyways, so yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it worked out for you guys, didn't it? The last question I do want to ask though is, you guys have now won against Direwolves and Chiefs. Is there anyone you're nervous to come up against in this split?
Not really. I think PGG bot lane will be maybe the hardest bot lane. I think the rest of the bot lanes, I know that if I play at my best, there's no one that can come close to my abilities, so yeah.
Yeah, it's starting to shape up that way. But thank you so much. Congratulations again on the win. Let's head on back over to Mac.
There you go. Thank you very much for that one, Nat T. Nice little interview there, and good to see what Violet had to say about that game. So thank you very much for that. And look, going forward, that was something. And yeah, Nat brought up a really good point. You know, there's only one team left that I guess could pose a challenge to Peace at the moment. That's going to be Pentanet.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely the case, and we will see another form check from them coming up on the next game, Mac, but they will be probably the biggest threat. I think they're the ones that I would have coming in as favorites to take out the split if things are going the way that I think they will. So well, they're the biggest threat.
Look, we've got a little bit of time to think things over, give your voices a rest as well after that 40-minute thriller. We do have Direwolves and Pentanet coming up as the final match of the night. But before then, it's time for a break. Don't go too far. We'll see you soon.
Here is going to fall down the Leandra's Torment. So that's one person that falls for the side of Peace. But Baramba, Siva, it's going to be so hard to stop them here with just the two members that you've currently got. That should be game for Peace.
Yeah, teleports all over the place to get down into the base. Sway is still alive, and he's been a pain to deal with. And Boma at this point, I don't think is a huge factor. Quite happy to just walk over those turrets and destroy them, and that is the Nexus going down. Peace will secure the victory.